Good morning, saints, snitches, and the rest of y'all still lying in the group chat. Welcome to Morning Tea and Allegations, where the devil gets no mic and the truth gets the final say. Just to get some. Hey, hey! She don't run on rumors, she run on receipts. Sanctified shade with the screenshots to preach. This ain't just gospel, it's gospel flow. She prays, she claps back and lets the spirit go. Bible in one hand, the dark's in the other. She speaks with fire, can't silence the truth. Hosted by Bianca, the snitch with a mission. Calling it out, 'cause our children deserve better. Morning tea and allegations, pouring truth with no hesitation. Accountability in rotation. This is gospel education. Transparency is our foundation. Integrity leads the conversation. No rumor, no speculation. Just facts, receipts, and revelation. Morning tea and allegations, where faith walks bold through shady temptation. No fake tongues, no false relations. Just truth, conviction, and conversation. Morning tea and allegations. Snitches on the airways. Known again, yeah. Snitches on the airways. Morning tea and allegations. Snitches on the airways.
Good morning. Yes, indeed. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to you. And welcome to Morning Tea and Allegations. My name is Bianca Goolsby, otherwise known as Petty B, and I'm so excited that you are here. Welcome to the Bear Cave. It has been a lot. I am thankful for the love and the prayers and just the support during this time. And just thank you for uplifting me and my family as we navigate grief, as life is life and people are continuing to people, but God. I also just want to give a special shout out to my folks in the Patreon community. My Patreon community is top tier, and I just want to just give them a special shout out. Shout out to them. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. God is good. So you can join in the Patreon community as well. I just want to thank you for the equalizers and the digital guardians that are in the space. Patreon is my safe space where I post things that I don't publicly post on the internet and things that I post on my blog, on my website. And you can see all of that at www.biancagoolsby.com and subscribe so that you can get access to the different things that I'm working on doing and get access whenever I go live. Okay. I also just want to just say thank you for the love and support as it relates to my album. If you did not know, Grace and Receipts was released last month, and I'm just very grateful for the love and support that my album is receiving. And for those of you that haven't tuned in to the album, go to my website at www.biancagoolsby.com. On the top banner, I have a link to where you can go directly to the album wherever you stream your music. And I just want to play a commercial, a snippet of one of my favorite songs, I Surrender, to encourage you to go listen to the album, because there are so many things that I say in the messaging of that I want folks to hear and understand. Because again, as life is life and people are peopling, but God. And I just am thankful to God that I am carrying grace, but also my receipts. So let's go ahead and roll the clip. So yes, indeed, you can go stream my album wherever you listen to your music. And I'm grateful for the support, for you listening to the album and giving me so much love. Now, before we get started, we have a lot of things to talk about. And of course, I need to play my disclaimers. So I need you to please govern yourselves accordingly. Again, I'm here to provide you the news and the things that I'm passionate about. And hopefully you are passionate about that too. And just thank you again. 4 seasons of love, episodes, and just a whole bunch of foolishness along the way. But these disclaimers are really, really important because as I am a certified snitch, a certified one, please don't play with my name and please don't play with me because God is still working on me. Thank you, church members, as we have additional announcements and disclaimers that require your full attention. I am a certified snitch and whistleblower that reports on what is happening in our community. Like I always say, people lie, receipts don't. With that stated, the content used in this programming is protected under fair use. In addition, the views and opinions on this programming belong to me. I hold myself accountable and prioritize accuracy and truthfulness in my communications. So unless you have receipts, don't start with me. God is still working on me. I love the block button to protect my peace, and I desire to snitch on everybody, including me. Thank you for your attention and govern yourselves accordingly. Amen.
But God said post and let the record stand.
Amen. So please govern yourselves accordingly to those announcements. Okay. Listen here.
Oh my God.
Ooh, child. So the title of today's episode is W.T.F. What the font? Okay, yeah. Who, child? The political theater that is happening here. So I just want to go ahead and just give you the cliff notes of the things that are happening here, and hopefully, you can understand that it is a lot. That we need to be intentional. That we need to pay attention. Our children deserve better. We deserve better. And we need to hold our elected officials accountable because this is a debate that is happening and it is harming our folks who have accessibility challenges. And we're rolling back things to help people for what? Secretary of State Marco Rubio just ordered diplomats to return to Times New Roman in all official State Department communications. His reasoning was the font change was a part of wasteful DEIA program. Yeah. So let me share my screen so that you can actually see the difference between the fonts. And I want to know what y'all think because it is kind of important for you to just kind of see this and recognize that we're talking about accessibility. So we have both of the fonts here. And just by looking at the fonts, okay, for those of you that are on the podcasting side of things, again, I recommend that you come on YouTube so that you can actually see my screen. And for those of you that are in my Facebook family, you have 30 days to see this video before Facebook takes it down. So again, your best bet is going to be YouTube. We're going to have a whole YouTube challenge to get our channel monetized, but we'll talk about that later. But I want you to look at these two fonts, and I just want y'all to let me know, what do you think is more accessible for people to read just by looking at it? There was a bunch of research that went into making the default font what it is. And it ties into universal design principle. As a graphic designer, a web designer, and a digital strategist, this is right within my wheelhouse. It is really important that we are picking the right fonts and making sure that it is accessible. So it's important that when we have politicians and elected officials that are like, hey, we need to restore decorum and professionalism, and we're talking about fonts, that we are reading the room, that we are recognizing what is being said and what is not being said, folks. This isn't about fonts. It's about erasing diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility initiatives under the guise of tradition. The Trump administration has weaponized DEI as discriminatory equity ideology, and now even typeface are casualty in the culture war. It's really absurd because on the surface, we're fighting over fonts. And there are people that are not going to be able to afford groceries or even gifts for their children. But it reveals a deeper agenda, systemically dismantling accessibility measures and diversity initiatives, even when they serve a legitimate purpose. So, while we're having war on fonts, WTF, I just want y'all to just ask and be intentional, because these are the people that were voted into office. These are the people that said, I'm going to represent you. And we have an opportunity to get them out of office. And we have an opportunity to hold them accountable. But that means that we need to be very intentional with our ballot. That means that we need to be very intentional with our voices. Because that's a lot. That is a lot. And you know what else is a lot? The Department of Education Civil Rights Office, they have now called it a black hole. Okay? The Office of Civil Rights at the Department of Education, if you don't know, is the place where families turn to when their children face discrimination, harassment, denied disability accommodations, and all of that has been gutted, folks. All of that has been gutted. We have real world impact that I want to talk about, but I also want to just show you the damage so that you could actually see it in black and white. Because again, like I always say, people lie, receipts don't. So you have 80%, 80% of staff have been eliminated under Trump's administration cuts. This office went from over 550 employees to roughly 100, where we have over 24,000 complaints that are backlogged. Offices are shut down. And the average caseload per attorney, where it used to be 35, is now 80 plus. Let me tell you how this impacts us. There's a 12-year-old girl who is autistic in Atlanta, whose school refuses to let her exit before the fire alarms. The fire alarms trigger severe distress, and they are currently fighting to get accommodations so that she can exit before these fire alarms go off. Now, in an emergency, no one is going to know when the fire alarms go off. But if it's a planned situation, they can help reduce the harm. And that's what they're fighting for. There's a disabled student denied access to going on a field trip because the schools can't accommodate. Or you have a girl that's forced to attend class with her alleged sexual harasser because no one investigated. You have the attorneys at OCR tell CNN that it is a black hole, that there's no staffing, no rhyme or reason, and that they wouldn't even trust the agency to help their own kids. This is what the attorneys at OCR is saying to the news. I'm going to post a receipt so that y'all can read it yourself. Instead of protecting students from discrimination, OCR is prioritizing investigating and rooting out DEI policies, leaving thousands of vulnerable students in limbo. Not only do we need to keep our eyes on our government, because boy, oh boy, that's a lot, but we also need to keep our eyes out on your local school board members. I was watching the Hillsborough County School Board meeting, and I was just very intrigued with the dynamics between the school board members. And I call people by name on this show. So, Lynn Gray, I have a question, ma'am. What is the energy that you have with Patty Rendon? Because this isn't the first time that I peeped this. And the comment really took me off guard. And I really do appreciate school board member Jessica Vaughn addressing this. So let me go ahead and share my screen so that you could see what happened at the school board meeting, because I just find this all very interesting, very intriguing. And again, I'm like, we need to hold our elected officials accountable for what they do and what they say on a dais.
And more importantly than thoughts, we need to have an action, a time, some type of timeline. My last question, and I've asked it already, and I'm sorry for just beating a dead horse, perhaps, but why are we not putting both of these together, your plan and the ask? So then a board member who seems to be quite stubborn tonight could say, well, I remember Tom Weeks. We had an employee who never had a plan, and we had all these high expenditures, and it was killing me to say yes, yes, yes when there was no plan. So, Superintendent Van Ness, help me out here. Why didn't we do it together versus separate?
I'll try to answer that.
Okay.
I think what's important when you look at this contract, it does not mean that we will spend the amount of money that is projected in the request. This is an opportunity that we have to bring this resource in. Obviously, if we can't fill these positions, we're going to spend this money. But if Dr. Patton's successful and is able to recruit and then retain these professionals, then we won't obviously spend the amount of money that's being requested here tonight. But I think what's important is, no matter what, vacancies will always be a challenge. I think in no matter what type of job we have or what the profession is, vacancies is always a challenge. And critical need vacancies where we have to supply that professional inside a school site, this is a contract that allows us to bring in a resource if we can't find someone for whatever reason to employ them. I think this is a critical need, but I want to emphasize that it might not happen that we spend this much money if we're successful on the HR side to bring these folks in.
And also, just adding on to that, hear you loud and clear around a plan and then agenda items that are coming forward. So, message heard.
Message is heard. All right. But I still stand firm because I've had the same scenario in front of me, only different outsources year after year. And I guess I can't seem to do it again. Thank you, Madam Chair. My comments are finished.
Thank you, Member Gray. Member Vaughn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do feel like we have this conversation repeatedly over and over again, and it's kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg. We can't afford necessarily to be competitive in pay, and then we start to lose those critical positions, and then we have to outsource them to make sure we can provide the services. I think it's also really important as we advocate around pay, that we also talk about health insurance and benefits, and that we put that at the forefront of the conversation, because that is something when we're talking about not being able to pay as much as some of the competitors in the healthcare industry. That's what makes us stand out, right? Is the fact that we are offering medical benefits, and as those erode and become less attractive, then the only thing that we really get to talk about is whether or not we can raise pay. And I think we also have to market it and talk about how much time people get off, right? And what that looks like, and being able to have 2 weeks off for a holiday, or being able to have time off in the summer, and the flexibility. I think all of that's got to be a part of the marketing position, is not just constantly focusing on the pay. But I think that we have heard from this board repeatedly over and over again, from a majority, I won't say from the entire board, that it is a priority to do what it takes to make sure that we're filling these positions in-house, and that outsourcing isn't the only answer, because again, it becomes kind of, this cycle of, once we outsource, where's that money going? And then we're not paying, and we're not focusing on the compensation and the salary. So I'm glad that you hear that. I actually appreciate you bringing up the ACA piece again, Member Rendon. I think that's a crucial piece. And while you say it might change it a little bit, I think it will have a huge impact. And I think it's egregious that our state is out of compliance and not doing what it takes. When we talk about our most marginalized, fragile kids, our kids on Medicaid, and revamping that schedule to make sure that we're able to give them the services is so imperative to the conversation that we're having. And so I don't see any conversation around this as someone being stubborn, and I don't appreciate that comment at board members. It doesn't have to be personal up here. I appreciate what everybody contributes. And so I just want to say, I do think we should focus on the ACA. I do think that is important. I think we need to keep pushing that and figuring out when we're going to be in compliance as a state, and talk about what we need to do to recruit people, just not based on salary. It is important. And we need to continually advocate for funding public education, traditional funding public education, but we have to talk about all those crucial pieces. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Vaughn.
Ooh, child. So, to school board member Lynn Gray, now you know my inbox is always open for you. Okay, you slid some things in my inbox, and we've had our conversations back and forth, and my inbox is still open, ma'am. What's your problem with Patty Rendon? Because, like I said, this ain't the first time that I peeped the energy between the two of y'all, and I don't understand it. And I want to just give a shout out to school board member Patty Rendon, because let me tell you something. School board member Patty Rendon is one of the school board members that really be asking some really good questions. Like, I am an absolute fan. I appreciate her efforts and the way that she asks questions. And while we have different beliefs politically on certain things that she votes on, the questions that she asks and the information that she is seeking for the district to provide is top tier. And I just appreciate that. So I just want to give a round of applause to Patty Rendon for that. And also for Jessica Vaughn for checking that energy. Because, again, I don't understand why Lynn Gray does what she does, because this is not the only school board member that she's gone back and forth with on the dais, and the conduct, right? Like, people need to be aware of this and to see this and to notate this, because it is not right. It's not appropriate. And I just wonder, Lynn Gray, my inbox will be open for you, ma'am. Okay. I am truly intrigued. What's tea? Okay. What's tea? Because we have some questions. We have some questions. Okay. Okay. So educators are speaking out more on social media, and I want to share some clips of some things that I saw on TikTok. The first video, you're going to have to read the screen. And for those of you that are just listening, I'm going to read it for you so that you can understand what's happening. The background of this is an educator that is sitting in her classroom, and unfortunately, the students are not paying attention, not being intentional with the lesson that is being presented. So they have decided that they just needed to back off, and it hurts them to deal with this. So let's go ahead and play the video. It says, "Today, I backed off being a hands-on teacher for the time being. I have been struggling with students talking over me and not listening to instructions. I'll spend hours putting labs together that they refuse to read or listen instructions, so I'll spend all day repeating myself. They always have something to complain about and lack motivation. I've redirected and retaught expectations hundreds of times. I've sent out more parent emails in the past 10 weeks than I have in my last 4 years of teaching. The kids don't care. The parents don't care. To save my sanity and mental health, I've decided to pull back on how much I care. So I'm putting a pause on labs and direct instruction and having them do more reading, watch videos, and do simulations. And it breaks my heart. Here's to hoping it gets better." Now it has in the background music playing and just the children just talking about just random things. And because of the song that's playing in the background, I did mute the video, but I will link the TikTok so that you could see it directly from this content creator who is asking for help and support. This is what's happening in our classrooms, folks. And so I need you to be aware and be very intentional with what's happening in our classrooms. I need you to be aware of what our educators are saying, what our bus drivers are saying, what our support staff are saying as it relates to what's happening in the classroom. There's a lot of people talking about it, but they haven't experienced it. Let's go to the next one.
So that video has been sent to admin by some of my teacher colleagues. And I just want to make a public service announcement. It's not coming down. I'm going to continue to post about my experience. And if any employees or admin have an issue with it, then let's come together so that this issue doesn't happen. Because the issue isn't me posting my experience. The issue is the fact that I'm not able to teach my curriculum-based lesson due to the behaviors and the lack of accountability that has been presented. That's the issue. And make sure y'all continue to run the likes up, run the views up. And to the admin member that has been micromanaging me and creating a hostile work environment because your feelings are hurt about me talking about my experience. The only thing that I can say to that, because I have been experiencing microaggression now. Yes, I have. And I'm going to continue to talk about my experience. If you want your employees to have a better experience at the school, then be a better leader. Don't take what I'm saying and then you're insulted by my experience. How about we come together to make sure, like a simple, how can I better support you? That's what makes good leaders. And that's what keeps good teachers. The turnover rate has been insane. There are so many educators leaving the building because of this. This is not high school. Y'all not going to bully me and tell me what I can and can't post, especially when it comes to my experience in these classrooms. Thank you.
There are more educators that are speaking out about their experience, and they should. They should continue to speak truth, and they should continue to show and highlight the things that are happening, keeping children safe as they do that. Because people do need to see what's really happening. And on this programming this season, I have highlighted studies that have been conducted that have talked about the behaviors in our classrooms and how it is becoming more and more violent. So to our parents and caregivers, I need you to be very intentional with what your children are doing at school. And just because they might not act that way at home does not shield them from accountability for how they're acting at school. And for our leaders, our educational leaders, where we know what the issues are, and some of it is due to us being overworked, undervalued, and we have state legislation that continues to defund and strip resources away. And while all of that is happening, don't gatekeep, don't gaslight, and don't retaliate against people that are speaking up because you don't want to taint the school's image, or you want to protect your ego, or you want to say, we need to keep everything that happens in this house in this house. Absolutely not. Speaking of new studies, a new study was published that focused on the concentration of our children using social media. And I need everyone to hear me really, really good when I talk about this. The researchers studied 8,300 children ages 9 through 13 years old for 4 years. Let me say that again just to make sure that you understand who is being researched and what was being said. The researchers studied 8,300 children ages 9 to 13 years old for 4 years. And let me share my screen so that you can see the findings. Average social media use, 30 minutes a day at age 9 to 2.5 hours a day at age 13. That was the average. Now, I know that there are some children where these numbers are actually much higher. We are talking 30 minutes a day at age 9 to 2.5 hours at age 13. So just imagine the numbers being way higher, because in some cases it is, as studies show that students and children spend roughly around 6 to 7 hours on their device. Okay, follow me. Even average social media use, the time that I just highlighted, changes the children's ability to concentrate, and that the effect grows over time, that it gets worse, not better. There were no links between attention problems to TV or video games. It is intentionally linked to social media. Social media leads to attention problems, not the other way around. Social media's constant notifications and distractions are rewriting children's brains and may partially explain, according to the experts, the explosion in ADHD diagnosis amongst children. Now, there's some other studies that you need to be aware of. You had Pew Research say that 44% of parents say that social media has the biggest negative impact on teens' mental health. And for every hour teens spend on social media, their depression risk increased by 13%. Teens spending 3+ hours daily on social media have double the risk of anxiety and depression symptoms. And now studies are highlighting that 2/3 of U.S. teens are using AI chatbots, in which some of them are turning to AI for emotional support. So let's just highlight all of this. You have schools that are overwhelmed, federal oversight that is absent, and families that are left to fend for themselves. A mother just went public on what happened to her child. Her 13-year-old daughter copied a TikTok challenge. The challenge is called Chroming Challenge. This is where students are inhaling toxic fumes from household products. Now, the company, TikTok, says that they found no evidence of it ever being a trend on the platform. But the family found 2 deodorant cans in the girl's room. They found her reposted videos, and they found her dead. This has been happening for some time now, folks, and I'm going to share my screen so that you can see the video and you can hear from another source, not just me.
Welcome back, everyone. So it's a newer dangerous trend that appears to have started on social media, and it has parents and doctors concerned. It's called chroming. It's a new drug fad, and it is gaining popularity on apps like TikTok. Chroming is an online trend. It's a challenge that involves intentionally inhaling chemicals or vapors to become intoxicated. And it's dangerous. A 13-year-old in Australia died after taking part in a chroming challenge to sniff an aerosol deodorant. Teens also report inhaling fumes from nail polish remover, markers, spray paint bottles, air fresheners, and even gasoline. Inhaling these chemicals can cause long-term brain issues, heart attacks, seizures, coma, choking, suffocation, organ damage, or even death. Experts say talk to your kids about chroming. Be open and non-judgmental, but educate them about the dangers involved. Set clear rules about risky behaviors like chroming, and make sure your teen knows the consequences if they're caught experimenting. If you think your child needs support, consider having them speak with a licensed therapist or substance abuse counselor. So you might be thinking, this isn't new, right? Because using inhalants isn't. huffing has existed for years. However, recent chroming challenges on social media have caused a renewed interest in this dangerous practice. Searches for chroming, in fact, spiked in May of this year, according to Google Trends. So definitely a conversation that you should have with your children.
So just imagine the harm that is happening on these platforms and the dangerous trends that your children have access to, that our children have access to. And we need to be very intentional with what our children have access to. The Pew Research study that dropped 4 days ago tell us that 40% of our teens are online almost constantly. And that's not just a statistic. That is an epidemic. And when your brain is flooded with dopamine hits, you can't think critically. You see a challenge and think everyone else is doing it. But here's the thing. Not everyone else is doing it. The algorithm makes it look that way. That's how these platforms work. They show you what keeps you scrolling. And what keeps you scrolling is things that are shocking and sometimes harmful. Meanwhile, 64% of teens are now using AI chatbots, and 42% of them are using AI for mental health support and companionship. Let that sink in. Nearly half of teens using AI are having emotional conversations with bots instead of humans because they feel so socially isolated from all of that social media. We have created a generation of children that are addicted to platforms that simultaneously are killing them and making them feel so lonely that they are forming emotional support bonds with algorithms. We are watching kids become addicted to platforms that are literally killing them while simultaneously making them feel so lonely that they are turning to artificial intelligence for friendship. Our children deserve better than this. And so I want you to be aware of how much time your child spends on social media and what they are doing and who they are connecting with. Also, let's keep the same energy for you and your devices too, because how much time are you spending on your device and what are you watching and who are you connected with? All of us need to have that intentional conversation. Are your children connecting with AI chatbots for emotional support? We have some very serious questions, and there are some very dangerous things that are happening on the internet. And in this season, I have highlighted so much of them. From folks that are taking innocent photos of children and creating AI porn of children, that's damaging. That's harmful, to children unaliving themselves because of the conversations that they are having with their AI companions. And one of which, a case happened right here in the state of Florida. So I am saying that it is important that you are mindful and you are intentional with what our children are doing on these devices, and also to be intentional with your vote. As I said in the beginning of the episode, W.T.F, what the font? While all of this is happening, you have elected leaders that are fighting over fonts instead of what is actually happening to our children and our country. Be intentional with your vote. Please be aware of your voter registration status. I need you to know, and I will continue to uplift every single episode from here on out. You need to know every person's name on the ballot. You need to know what they're running for. You need to know what the duties and responsibilities of that position, and if they're qualified to be in the position. Because we have too many people that are being put into the roles to lead and to serve. And our commander-in-chief has over 30 felonies, 34. And then with the Epstein files and the things that are being exposed and uncovered, where children have been harmed for years and people have covered it up. Y'all, please be intentional. Please be mindful. And please protect our children. Our children deserve better. And from the schoolhouse to the White House, we need all eyes, ears, and hands on deck, because it's going to take so much to fix the system, because it's a systemic issue. And we've highlighted that. And unfortunately, when you follow the money, you recognize that there's a profit in the problem. So my action item for you after you've watched this episode is to have a conversation with your child, your children, your nieces and nephews and cousins that are on the internet, and asking them, what do they follow? Who do they follow? How long do they spend time on their devices? Are they intentional with their mental health? How is their school environment? Do they have all of their teachers? It's really, really important that we are aware of what's happening out here, because ultimately our children deserve better. So thank you for tuning in to this episode. I greatly appreciate you following me on this journey as I continue to advocate for children, as I continue to advocate for our education system, and continue to amplify the voices of our educators that are saying enough is enough. We are tired, we are burnt out, and we need support. Meanwhile, we have elected leaders that are doing everything but trying to address the problem. And in fact, we still trying to figure out who's going to be held accountable for all of this money that just seems to be misappropriated. We have some questions about following this money, and I hope you do too, because it impacts you and your children. It impacts us as a community. So with that, y'all have an amazing week. Y'all have an amazing day. I'm sending you love, light, and peace. And for those of you that are in my Patreon, I'll see y'all a little bit later, because we do have some more things to discuss and address, and that's just going to be for y'all. So until next time, peace.